Hey guys, it's Chris. I am recording a vlog in part because I've always wanted to, and I have, an iPhone 7 Plus, which has a pretty decent, pretty excellent camera actually, even in 2019. And I've always kind of made excuses for recording vlogs. My perfectionism kind of gets in the way, and I toss out every single video I make because I'll say something somewhat inelegantly, and I'll want to re-record, and the result is that I end up making nothing. And I'm sure you guys can very much relate to this impulse of just discarding things so that you avoid the possible humiliation of creating something suboptimal, something that's not up to par. And I know better. Of course I know better. I've learned this lesson my whole life, how futile that is, and how that actually prevents you from actually making anything. And it's really funny because video is something you can edit. You can always record another take. We use video editing software to get a better take. So there's really no reason for me to constantly discard footage and start all over again when I could just sort of intersplice a better take. Anyway, you guys probably don't know who I am. Maybe you know who I am if I sent you this video. But I am a computer science major at Columbia University. I'm interning at Wiley, which is a publishing company. And I'm doing machine learning and artificial intelligence. I actually think that I had to sign like a social media waiver or something, like something where I agree to represent the company well. So I think I'll be able to do that. I'll try to avoid any profoundly controversial topics. It's currently summer break. Columbia is winding down. A lot of my friends are graduating, which is sad. I still have one semester left. I am graduating in the fall, and I'm walking next May. I'm really ready to be done with school. Like, my entire life I've been very pro-school. No, that's actually emphatically not true. I don't know why I said that. Most of my life I was actually very anti-school. I just found it really boring, this horrible imposition on my time, the tiny amount of free time I had as a kid, or so I thought. Then I got a little bit older, started applying myself. It was like senior year in high school when I realized that I actually could be good at school if I studied, and I could actually even excel. I could do very well in school. But by then it was senior year, and I'd kind of, I had developed a reputation for being a mediocre student with promise, which was disappointing, So I went to a very good public school for 2 years and then transferred to a private school, Boston College. Excellent institution. Got a degree in political science / political philosophy. There actually is a political philosophy degree there, but that was basically my concentration or area of interest. I then spent several years in a variety of industries, and maybe I'll make a video about that, about how terrible my 20s were. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it. Because my 20s weren't that terrible, but they certainly felt terrible to me at the time. But in retrospect, there actually were a lot of great things about that time in my life. So I'm just going to turn around. I'm going to try a different strip of sidewalk. So anyway, long story short, I ended up at Columbia getting a second degree in computer science. And it's a great school, and I really enjoyed being there. But it's been some of the most challenging years it's been probably one of the most challenging periods of my life, because computer science is not a trivial major. It's not an easy major by any means. And CS in and of itself, Columbia in and of itself, is a rigorous school. No, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm pretty sure CS is challenging in most places. Some schools might have a much more generous curve than Columbia. But what makes Columbia difficult is that the curve is not extremely generous. There's a curve there. It's hard to straight up fail a class at Columbia. But it's not the kind of class where you're immune from failing. That's absolutely not the case. So anyway, I've really enjoyed my time at Columbia. but I am ready to make money. I am ready to start my life. I'm 29, going on 30, and I am really ready to sort of embark on my life. I thought I'd be starting my life when I was 21, 22, graduating from Boston College, but I had a lot of student loan debt. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of bereft of direction. I think a lot of young people can relate to this feeling of just not knowing what to do, and as a result, not doing anything because of that. It's this kind of view, it's this kind of perspective or philosophy that, it's not even a philosophy, it's just this sort of belief that if you don't have a direction, why do anything? Because if you try doing anything, you don't even know if you're interested in it. Why even try? And I think that's actually one of the most noxious and dangerous perspectives a young person can take. It's one thing if you're abstaining from doing something because you're not particularly interested in traditional metrics of success or social flourishing. Like if you're not interested in making a ton of money or getting a promotion, if those things don't intrigue you, I think that's a very different thing from not doing anything because you don't know what to do. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that when they don't know what to do, they do nothing. They don't try anything. And what ends up happening is that your life just goes on. It goes on and you don't make progress. And so you end up being 25 and realizing because you didn't commit to anything, because you didn't try for anything, you're living a life that you never planned, that you don't have any interest in. Not making a choice is a choice. And it's one of the most damning choices because it robs you of any agency whatsoever. Because when you commit to something, anything whatsoever, at least you're tilting the direction that you're moving towards in some way. Maybe in a tiny, almost imperceptible way, but you're changing the direction. You have some authority or control over where you're going. And when you abstain completely, that's not the case. That doesn't happen. So I encourage young people to do what they can to avoid that kind of stagnation. I know it's hard, especially because, let's say you're 21, 22, you just graduate from university. You realize that you studied something that was kind of interesting to you, but wasn't particularly interesting, or maybe it was completely orthogonal to your passions, or maybe you don't even know what your passions are. That was my situation. I didn't know what I was super profoundly interested in. I had a bunch of stuff that I was kind of interested in, but I didn't know what I definitely wanted to do. You're in this situation, you don't know what to do. A lot of the paths ahead of you require significant investments of time and money and energy. Like if you can't just casually become a lawyer. That's like hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of your life. You can't casually become a doctor. You can't casually become a programmer. It takes energy and time and an investment of yourself to do those things. So I understand why people feel hesitant to embark on a path when they don't feel a sense of certainty. I get that. What I would recommend in that instance is to look at things that you at least like. Look at the stuff that at least intrigues you and pursue those things. If you don't have a deep passion for something, do something that you mostly enjoy. It's closer to, it's better to do something that you kind of enjoy than doing something that you don't enjoy whatsoever. It'll get you closer to having a more fulfilled professional life, in my opinion. And maybe in the process of pursuing this thing that you're kind of into, you'll discover what you're really into. Or you'll discover that the meat of your life, the substance of your life, doesn't lie in the professional interests that you're exploring, and instead lies in your life, the life that you live outside of your professional life. It could be that family and friends and community. That's where your interest truly lies. That's the thing that really animates you. And your professional life is just the thing that enables it. Your professional life is just a material. It's just the thing that solves the material problem of providing the resources you need to live your life. So I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to record. I'm not sure if I'm going to edit this. I apologize ahead of time if I don't edit this. Maybe I will. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope this was at all enjoyable and insightful. Yeah, thank you very much. Like this video if you got something out of it. Otherwise, feel free to disregard it. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later.